Welcome to the Newsa-Cast YouTube channel. These Red Smith Banquet throwbacks are exclusive interviews of sports legends, powerful media personalities, and influential coaches. You won't find these anywhere else. Subscribe below and enjoy.
All right, YouTube viewers, welcome to the Red Smith's throwback. This week we are throwing it back to 1996, where our main speaker was the legendary center and guard Randy Cross.
Yeah, what a year. 96 was a great year, Tash, and a great banquet. Randy Cross, 13 years in the NFL. I remember him, offensive lineman, great player, and also a TV announcer as well. He had like 4 or 5 years in the booth as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And remember that this throwback that you are viewing in its entirety is part of the podcast where we interview Jeff Timmerman, Tank Timmerman. So kind of got a little football and everything going on. We encourage you to head back to wherever you get your podcasts and check out the entire podcast of the Newsa-Cast after you watch this amazing main speaker, Randy Cross.
And after you hit the subscribe button right below, too.
There you go.
We're honored tonight to have with us as our featured speaker, Randy Cross. Randy is a 1976 UCLA graduate and an all-pro guard and center for the San Francisco 49ers from 76 through 88, helping lead the 49ers to 3 Super Bowl titles and their domination of the 80s. Cross was a member of the offensive line that played in front of quarterback Joe Montana. He played in 3 Pro Bowls, 81, 82, 84, and was selected as an All-Pro on 4 occasions, 81, 82, 84, 85. Cross played on 3 winning Super Bowl teams, including the 49ers' first Super Bowl in 1982. He also has rings from both Super Bowl 19 and Super Bowl 23. The Brooklyn, New York native joined NBC in March of '94 as an analyst on NBC Sports NFL telecast. He also broadcast select Notre Dame games and was the analyst for the 1995 Fiesta Bowl. Prior to joining NBC, Cross worked as an analyst on the CBS coverage of the NFL. Randy picked the Packers over the Cowboys on his radio show. Please welcome Randy Cross.
Well, thank you very much. How about a hand for Chuck here? This guy has talked for 2 hours. And who wants to be the first one to tell poor Roland it's been that kind of a day, and it is 1998. You start in about 2 months. You know, Robin mentioned we go back a long ways, and with his brother-in-law. And I remember when his brother-in-law and I were in Little League, we used to sit around that transistor radio and listen to games Robin playing. And you know, I've always. And you know, Robin, it's great advice for the kids about college. Absolutely, that is correct. But I remember sitting in a frat house in 1974 watching you play for the Milwaukee Brewers on about a $110 a month scholarship at UCLA, and old beat-up Levi's and beat-up tennis shoes, and watching a guy from the hometown area make it successful in the big leagues and going, what am I doing in college? But it's been great. Just for a serious note, I want to back up the words spoken earlier about Gil Haskell. I've known Gil Haskell since I was at UCLA. Gil Haskell was somebody that I always saw at the Coliseum in Los Angeles, and then suddenly I saw him all the time at Candlestick Park. What I didn't know was he had an association with the family, the Morbidos at the time, that owned the team, and then next thing I know, he couldn't get a real job, so he went to work for John Robinson at USC, and then he fell into harder times and had to go to the Rams with John Robinson. But Gil Haskell is one of the true class guys in the NFL, and I know everybody associated with him that's ever known him was very concerned Sunday, and it was great to get the good news about Gil, and how we really hope he has a speedy recovery. Just noting, sitting here thinking and writing some notes, I know it's been a long time ago, but what'd you think with the invocation? Completely off the cuff, you know, got a little jab in on the Bucks. You know, I would play for the 49ers when everybody got the jabs in on us. But, you know, what I noticed was the invocation was off the cuff, and as good as the national anthem was, he had the words in front of him. You didn't see that. But he had the words in front of him, and the only reason I take a shot at the guy is I hate having to stand next to somebody and sing any song when somebody sings that good. This has been a great experience for me. I used to come up to Green Bay a lot. I was with CBS for 5 years, and I always used to say early in my career with CBS doing football, I was big in the Bay Area. And everybody assumed it was because I lived in the San Francisco area. I used to have to tell them, no, it's because I do a lot of Green Bay games and Tampa Bay games. And actually, the fans and I here developed quite a, I wouldn't say love relationship. I would say at times it was, thank God he's not doing a game kind of relationship. But I've always loved this area very, very much. And you have my utmost respect. I was with Kevin Doyle from the local paper today and a good friend, Steve Brennan. And suddenly this message comes on. It says, danger. Do not go outside. Do not drive if you don't have to. And being a good California boy and seeing ice outside, that made a lot of damn sense to me. First thing I did was turn to Kevin and say, well, Kevin, naturally we'll have a problem tonight at the banquet. There won't be that many people there. And he starts laughing. He says, no, I think it'll be all right. I get here, start talking to everybody here. Sig tells me 2 years ago I should have been here. I said, why? He goes, 20 below outside. I said, big deal. He goes, natural. About 80 below wind chill factor. I said, well, nobody showed up. He goes, sucker was full. They all made it. They all came to see this thing. Very impressed with the local turnout. I got to tell you, you've got a wonderful event here in Appleton, Wisconsin, and everybody should be proud that's associated with the Red Smith dinner. You know, this has been a unique year, I think, in general for the NFL, and you know what I get a big kick out of, and just to take kind of a jab at guys like me, don't you get sick and tired of hearing experts' opinions at the beginning of football seasons? I mean, I made a little list here. Okay. September. Let's remember back to September of this year and the way the season was going. Didn't all the experts tell you that, boy, Brooks and those Rams in the NFC look strong for the Super Bowl? And Shula and those Dolphins at 4-0 look like they're on their way to yet another Super Bowl appearance. Experts did that one real good. October, it was Dallas. Well, they didn't do bad on that one. And Oakland, a team I picked for the Super Bowl. What the hell do I know? Of course, I picked an all-Bay Area Super Bowl, and some team knocked my old team out of the playoffs. Okay, let's go to November. Speaking of predictions, about then it was San Francisco playing so great at that time, and Kansas City with Steve Bono, and they were going to be a great team. We didn't get close on that one either. We got a little closer in December, though. In December, people started to lean towards the Pittsburgh Steelers and what a great job they were doing, and as it turns out, a ball gets dropped, a call isn't made, and experts are right. Gee, aren't they smart? But the NFC team was the Green Bay Packers. I think most people in December looked at the Green Bay Packers and said, that is a football team. And the reason they did that was the job that was done, I think, building that football team. And the reason I pointed out, and I did pick the Packers this week over the Cowboys, was they did such a great job at not turning over the ball. And Brett Favre had stopped making the mistakes that make Mike Holmgren on the sideline break clipboards over his knees. Well, I watched the game Sunday. And I don't think Mike's going to have a problem with Brett having a swell head at the beginning of training camp next year. But this has been a very eventful year in 1995 for the NFL. Most of it not exactly positive. You look at what's happened with the Cleveland Browns. I'm sure there's people that have followed the Cleveland Browns in this room for years. I happen to do what they say will be the last game at the stadium in Cleveland between Cleveland and Cincinnati. It was an amazing display. I don't know what was more amazing, the love and the joy and the association of fans all over the state of Ohio and specifically Cleveland, or the way they sort of tore that old place apart as soon as the game was over. There were stands and seats being thrown on the field. It was amazing. The greed we've seen this year out of the NFL, whether it's the owners, whether it's the players, whether it's the news made off the field, which has not always been the most delightful, from the players, from the quarterbacks, from the defensive players, from the coaches, from the owners, from everybody else's standpoint. It's been a little bit on the negative side, but I think it's been, I think as we go into 1996, what's going to be a wonderful year. I look back 20 years ago, my first game as a professional in a regular season game was at Lambeau Field. I played with the San Francisco 49ers. Our head coach at that time was Monty Clark, and we played against the Green Bay Packers back when Lynn Dickey was the quarterback. And I remember very clearly that first weekend only for one reason. If you don't know who Monty Clark is, Monty Clark used to be the offensive line coach for Don Shula's Super Bowl teams in Miami. Monty Clark's about 6'6" at that time, weighed about 330 pounds. And I had the misfortune of finding Mr. Kramer's bar on Saturday night before that, my first football game here in Green Bay. For some reason, they were buying me free beers. We had curfew at 11:15, and for some reason, the rookie couldn't find a cab. I show up about 5 minutes late, and what's waiting for me in my room? About a 6'6", 330 pounds, mad first-year head coach for the San Francisco 49ers, Monty Clark. I will never, ever forget that old Holiday Inn downtown in Green Bay, Wisconsin, because of that experience. It was less than happy. But I really want to tell you people about something I went through over about a 7-year period. And that's starting in 1981 with the San Francisco 49ers when Bill Walsh built that team up. I know there's a lot of frustration here in Green Bay, you know, over the game last Sunday, but I got to tell you, I was with a team that got successful fast. I mean, we were 2-14 in '79 when Walsh got there. We were 6-10 in 1980. 1981, we were 16-3 and won the Super Bowl. We had absolutely no clue about what we were doing. We were what I always refer to as the happy dummies. We had a whole team of guys that just sort of walked around smiling all the time, saying, "Gee, let's play another football game, we'll beat somebody." And we won a Super Bowl. We weren't ready for it. We fell flat on our face in 1982. There wasn't that stability. There was no base really built in that organization. 1984, I was on a Super Bowl team that was 18-1. And a lot of that 18-1 record in '84 was built in January of 1984. We played in the NFC Championship game against the Washington Redskins. And you remember those teams back in '83 with Riggins and the Hogs and all that. Well, we lost in RFK Stadium and that championship game, and the cry in that game was, "Gee, the refs screwed us. The weather wasn't quite right. The field was frozen." We had all the excuses in the world, but what that game really did to us is really embarrass us and motivate us on to bigger things the next year. The next year we go 18-1. We absolutely sweep through the NFL. No one even comes close to getting to us that year. We beat Dan Marino and the Dolphins in the Super Bowl. And one of the reasons I bring that up is I look for this game last Sunday to bring much similar impetus to the Green Bay Packers. That's a lot better team than what you saw last Sunday over there in Green Bay at Lambeau Field. And you're going to see a fantastic Packer team, I believe, in 1996. I played on a team in 1988 that was what I refer to as an in spite of team. It was a team that, in spite of not great talent, some guys getting old and slow, right here, we went 6-5, and it's so funny to see Robin Yount, because one of the last times I saw Robin Yount was outside the locker room at Sun Devil Stadium. He had come to see Ted Walsh, who for years worked with the Brewers in spring training and did a lot of work with them and always came over and took care of us during the football season. And after we lost that game, we were 6-5 that year. We had lost to Raiders, we had lost to the Cardinals, and all we did for the next 8 weeks after that was go 7-1 and win a Super Bowl again. And in spite of all the crazy things, we managed to win another Super Bowl title, and that was my last game, my way of bowing out. I couldn't get 3,000 hits. I don't think I hit 3,000 people in 13 years. But then again, like I said, I didn't get to start in '74. He had a 3-year head start on me. I want to just ask one thing. Are you guys as proud of the Green Bay Packers as you seem? You know, there's two words that always struck me of the old organization I came from in San Francisco, that when you think about it, it's been going pretty strong for 15 years. That was stability and patience. And that's something you have here in the state of Wisconsin with a team like the Green Bay Packers, with men like Ron Wolf and Mike Holmgren at the helm leading him. I mean, you can't put enough of a premium on that. You won't see that spiking up and down like you see with so many franchises with guys like this at the helm. Ron Wolf, I remember meeting Ron Wolf. The first time I met him was Lindy Infante was still the head coach. He had been hired as the new general manager. It was, I think, like the Thursday or so before the last regular season game of the year, and it was Detroit at Green Bay, which I was so lucky to get to do because it was like 34 degrees that day, below zero. And Lambeau Field was its usual late December look. It looked like the world's largest duck blind. Everybody was in camouflage and that bright, bright orange. But, and I've been told since then by Kevin that wasn't a duck blind, it was the opening day of deer hunting season. But Ron Wolf came in and, he sat down at a meeting with us and really laid out what he wanted to do, talking about being very consistent, talking about his days with the Raiders and that whole commitment to different things in an organization. And he's done exactly what he said he was going to do. Mike Holmgren, I've got a bit of a history with Mike Holmgren that goes back maybe further than even he knows, only because of the scouting reports I always got from Steve Young about Mike Holmgren. Because Mike was Steve Young's quarterback coach at BYU, and Steve Young was my roommate my last 3 years in the NFL. Mike Holmgren was made. He was born in San Francisco. He grew up in the Bay Area. At the time, he didn't know it, but he was born to be the head cheese. There is, and if there's cheese heads, there's got to be a head cheese, and Mike Holmgren was born to be the head cheese. He is he does a masterful job of handling the media. And I think a lot of the credit to his ability to handle the media as a first-time head coach and his ability to spar on so many occasions with the TV and the radio and the written press has to go to the man that's really trained him in his job the last few years. He was mentioned earlier, but I'd also like to say a special congratulations and hi to Lee Rummel of the Green Bay Packers, a real class guy and probably the best public relations and media man I've worked with in my 7 years in television. But Holmgren's got that combination. I mean, if you haven't got the chance to meet the coach, don't buy what you see on TV. What a shock. I mean, Mike's got a lot in him. He's a fire and brimstone guy. He will yell, he will scream, he will get in people's face. And if you don't believe that is true, just ask Brett Favre one day. He's got the brain and the daring to come up with an improvement on a great offense, and that's exactly what he's done. He was under Bill Walsh. He's improved this offense, I think, tenfold from what he originally saw, and what he's done with this thing is very, very impressive. He's running the San Francisco offense now better than San Francisco, because San Francisco's gotten away from so many of the things that made that offense great. Mike hasn't forgotten it, and it really, really shows. He's a guy that very much a man of style, very much a man of substance, and probably the number one priority in his life is his family. And it's something I always admire, very, very highly successful men like he is that can keep that particular thing in perspective. At sort of the end of my remarks here, I wanted to make a few points because in 1995, like I said, was a year of a lot of negatives from a sports standpoint. But I think you people of Wisconsin should really get a congratulations, a thank you, a pat on the back from sports fans all over the United States, to be perfectly honest with you. I think you are the reason people watch games in Lambeau Field at the Green Bay Packers to see how you react. I mean, they should give seminars in the offseason given by the Packer fans on how you're supposed to act in a stadium. I mean, because look at it this way. You know, for every ice-throwing moron in New York, there is 20 Packer backers in the end zones at Lambeau Field waiting to hug a receiver or defensive back that scores a touchdown. For every celebrity arrest or negative profile story you see about sports nowadays, there's just another example of a class organization that's been built in Green Bay and what they've done. I mean, this is a model, I think, for so many organizations and so many sports groups around the country. You know, for the What Have You Done For Me Lately, Sports Fans of America, there's the undying, unwavering Packer backers that jammed Lambeau Field, sports bars around the country, and every fall and winter weekend. It is completely amazing. And as a sports guy, you know, I always thought people watched our game, turned off the sound, and turned on the local radio station. And I was a little disappointed Jim Irwin wasn't here tonight, because I wanted to tease him, because I think he assumes everybody in this state listens to him on the radio. But you know, I get a lot of mail, and people listen to what we say. And you know, finally, there was stuff going on Sunday, and I'm sure you noticed it. Michael Irvin doing his best Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders doing his best Deion Sanders. But you know what? For every primetime dance and for every display of God, look at me, I really haven't done this before kind of attitude you see out of so many professional athletes nowadays that I think stinks and shows a terrible example to a lot of young kids out there. For every one of those guys out there, for every one of those guys that does that, it's wonderful to know that there are about 100 acts of genuine kindness, genuine love. And some of the comments I'm sure all of you saw this weekend leading up to the game coming out of Reggie White. He is a credit to the NFL. He's a credit to this community. And I think he's just another example of what you all have going here in Green Bay. This will again be the NFL championship city. I don't know if it'll ever see the 11 titles of the old Title Town days and the Lombardi days, because I'm not sure things are going to work like that. Unlike what Jimmy Johnson thinks, they don't work like that, Jimmy. But the NFL championship is coming back to Green Bay. It's coming back because of the Ron Wolfs. It's coming back because of the Mike Holmgrens. But most importantly, in my opinion, it's coming back because of you people, because you are the best NFL fans there are in the United States. You're the best sports fans in the United States. And face it, damn it, you guys deserve it. Thank you very much.
Randy Cross, thank you. Just a reminder, the entire program can be seen on Cablevision, Channel 4, Friday, 6 p.m.
Please subscribe to this channel, give this video a thumbs up, and hit that notification bell so you get notified when we post another great episode or interview. Download the podcast on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you for your support.